students.
Yeah.
I think I kind of know what professor wanna hear. And,
Yeah.
So, but I'm not sure exactly. I only get a chance to talk to one like younger like student today, 28.
Yeah.
So I get a sense of what get him excited. I'm curious, just in general, like what really echoes the most, like as far as Young's messages, kind of what echoed the most to you guys? If you only get like 30 seconds, what are the key messages you would like to hear? What from you, what you understand from
Right.
like talking to younger generation folks?
I think that younger people have kind of grown up in a time where the two-party system is extremely divided.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen things that were truly good not get passed because they don't have bipartisan agreement.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I would say was the most compelling to me anyway is the fact that Andrew Yang does have that bipartisan appeal in these ideas like universal basic income, which would effectively end homelessness for most people
Mm-hmm.
and would get so many people out of poverty, is a bipartisan issue. It's already being pushed in the Senate. It's a bipartisan statement.
Yeah, Republicans love it because it basically cuts back the 300 government programs that they don't like.
Yeah.
Don't say that in the.
And liberals love it because they know that there are holes in the safety nets that exist.
Somebody please do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, because I can't. No, it's happening on my YouTube channel, Yang Gang Street Team.
I was in the process of sharing it and then it was loud and I missed the question.
I did.
I was like,
So
thank you.
basically the fact that these ideas can pass in a divided House and Senate.
Ying Yang, Iowa.
And there are very few things that have that same likability across parties that also help Americans in the way we need. Like, if we want, someone just said,
Okay.
hey Siri, and it alerted me, mine hey Siri.
So yeah, even more general than that is basically bipartisan support. Yang is the unreal in his ability to reach Republicans. I tell personal stories.
Wait, so hi, Yang Gang Street Team. This is one of our amazing ladies.
Hi.
Friendship 2020. She's bringing us Chipotle.
All right.
So I know that sounds crazy, but there's some Chipotle, some chips and queso, and
That's amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
This is the best thing ever.
yes, I know
Yeah,
it's fall
I'm
time,
sure.
and I'm sure you guys do some
Long
stuff,
nights. Yeah,
So.
early
Honestly,
mornings.
deprived, but we're almost there. So
We're almost there.
yeah, help yourself. And
Yeah.
yes, thank you so much for
So
everything.
shout out to Amy's team and Ames. Like, you guys are amazing. You and the Biden people and the people in Philly are so nice.
Good. Well, I love you guys. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Well, I'm gonna go back to the office and get
All right,
but
keep crushing it.
yes, bye guys. See you later.
Have fun. See you at caucus.
See, how fun is that? We have Chipotle. Provided by Amy Klobuchar.
That's why, but it's all good, right?
Yeah, it's not poison.
Okay.
This would be the place to hit. What is the bottom? They hit the precinct captain.
No, we're not.
pull up
The
a
Clovis
share.
team is really, really sweet. I'm not kidding. Like, the Friendship 2020 group in Ames and Boone are so nice. I spent the holidays with them. Friendship 2020. It was a thing. There was this guy at the Liberty and Justice Gala who is a local politician. I don't know who it was, but he was like very pro everyone being kind to each other. So it was like Friendship 2020. And so then the Ames Boone Friendship 2020 Facebook group blossomed into, we would just go to get drinks at London Underground and like collectively feel for each other and compliment each other's candidates and everything. And like, I've made so many good friends on the Biden, Klobuchar, Kamala when she was running, like Pete, they're so friendly. Yeah.
I met one of the Pete staffers on MLK Day.
Yeah.
I told you, like, I was going to the middle school for their big celebration, and she was there, and I sat down next to her, and she didn't ask anything about me, but I asked a lot about her. I'm interested. Well, so what's your plan of attack?
Your engagement organizing, these people.
But she seemed really nice and awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Um, not to squash the warm
That's okay.
fuzzy, but you asked what
Yeah,
the young people.
I would like to also stay focused.
Right. I mean, to go off of kind of what Charlotte said, with what young people are interested in, I think a lot of young people in general are disenchanted from politics, partially because of the divided two-party system, partially because I think a lot of it feels inaccessible to them, and a lot of that is that they feel like they don't have resources. When you're busy worrying about your student loan debt, or,
Yeah.
you know, if you're even gonna be able to finish college if you're mentally ill, or not having support from family, then you don't give a still good goddamn about politics. I mean, a lot of my friends really could care less, even though these things are going to be affecting them in a pretty significant way. They just even choose not to vote at all, which is kind of shocking to me, but I think that, again, the freedom dividend, when you put it into the hands of people, and by extension, democracy dollars, suddenly, you know, one, if you're not in a scarcity mindset anymore, you can actually think about intangible things like the people you're putting into office that you may never meet. And two, actually feeling like you have an effect in the system because you have some amount of tangible sway.
That you're in a
Yeah, I was
shareholder
actually-
and an equal part of that system too.
Yeah, I was actually thinking whether it would make sense to see that. I think my take is actually looks at many of these policies looking about empowering people, right?
Yes.
And decide. But I was not sure if that's the key differentiating factor though on that hand. So that's what.
Key differentiating factor between Yang and the other candidates.
Our candidate, right? Because,
You say it really well.
So there's a whole Twitter thread that goes, Yang is the only one who. And a bunch of people have been responding. The couple ones we threw on the board was he's the only one trying to unite the other side rather than defeat them. And I drill home that anybody else, even if they win, they do so by squashing a large part of the American opinion. And so is that really a win for the whole if you win in that way?
It is humanity first, and that includes
It's the most important part of this campaign.
human Republicans.
Right.
conservatives.
So there's a,
human-centered policy and initiatives.
The part that human value doesn't equal economic value. In fact, it's much greater and harder to quantify. And, yeah.
yeah.
the-
So there's a few very attractive onlys that is only Yang. He's the only technologist, actually ever in the history of anybody to run for the presidency. He's the first technologist.
So much more huge than people realize that, because we live where like
And yeah,
government can't even fully digitize.
right. You got to drill home that the next global arms race is artificial intelligence, and China's already about to win.
Our schools all have screens, but our politicians are like, let's do paper polling.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would that be useful for you to have that list of things?
Yeah, it would be great. So, you know, actually, our work kind of, I'm a faculty member here, and we actually work on some of the technologies that are kind of some of the core drivers of the, you know, the fourth industrial revolution, what folks are talking about. I was just wondering if I talk about the fourth industrial revolution, how that implies about the future of jobs and community and economy. Does that echo with you folks? I don't know.
I think when you talk to young people, well,
Yeah.
they may not remember what the industrial revolution stuff is.
Yeah.
But when you put it into the context of, I mean, some young people, I'm kind of on a cusp of what's considered young. So, for example, I didn't have a smartphone until I was basically in college.
Yeah.
A lot of kids are growing up and they have them right now, but there's a lot of current age college students who probably remember what it was like not having a smartphone or a cell phone at all. And so just putting it into that perspective of the technological shifts that are happening in our society, that is what is coming. And so when you have, you know, computers that can do the job of 100 people, yes, it's going to create different jobs, going to create new jobs, there's going to be work still, but you don't need to hire 100 people to work for this machine. Instead, you're only going to be hiring 2, 3,
Yeah.
one.
Right. So there's also the
I mean, it's a standard.
Hi, Matt.
How's it going?
It's good.
It's a standard data about automation, right?
yeah.
We're about to lose 50 million jobs in the next 10 years. By the time these kids hit the job market, they're going to be dealing with 50 million unemployed
It's already
people.
hard for everyone, like in coastal cities, which is mainly where I'm from, like Los Angeles and Boston. So the job market is hell. Like it's
Mhm.
supposed to have the most opportunity, and it has like the least. I went to a grade 4-year college. I have experience working in public education. I have this and that, and I didn't even hear back from like hundreds and hundreds of jobs.
Hmm.
And it's a little
Because-
bit, sorry.
Well, yeah, well, no, I mean, like, I was kind of done, but it's because there are these people who are like, you know, parental age, like 45, applying for these entry-level positions now. Like, we have wholeheartedly screwed up the job market so hardcore.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have the perspective of someone who's not in Iowa, because if you look here in Iowa, there are help wanted signs everywhere.
Yeah,
Because people are moving away from Iowa,
because they think there's opportunity.
right.
Well, also we were pushed, like how many, like I don't know if you guys are like from Iowa, like raised here, but lived here my whole life, same. And so like how many of us like are from smaller towns and our parents said, go get an education and then go elsewhere where there's more opportunities. Every single person who was like smart growing up, that is exactly the speech that their parents gave them.
Yeah.
Instead of actually staying here, strengthening our communities from that grassroots level up and being able to do that.
So people asking us why we're not at the rally. Well, the rally is, we don't need to be there. We have a lot of work to do here in Ames.
There's a ton of supporters at
Yeah,
the
the
rally.
rally.
Yeah, the rally is fine.
Our job here is I'll do the stump speech.
So our plan tonight is to practice our stump speeches, correct?
Yeah,
And-
you get the 1 minute as far, I've heard 1 and 2 minutes.
1 to 2
Depends
minutes
on the
depending on the
location.
I
precinct.
hope it's 2.
I
I'm like,
at mine is 1.
it's definitely one
So
for yours.
I think what's safe is, because not all of us know, and I don't think we can find out tonight, is to get them all down to 1. And then just have that.
Yeah.
Boom.
I can
And also
sort something
try,
out.
I think it's really
Yeah.
important, I don't know how they pick,
Yeah.
I don't know how they pick order, but if we can go last, there's so many psychological things that say, the person who goes last gets remembered, and Yang is the one, if we go last.
Use alphabetical last. So
Ooh, let's
It almost
ask for
every single
alphabetical.
poll.
yeah, we should be like
Yeah.
we should do
Alright.
alphabetical. in
That's a
some
good
fair
good
way.
strategy point.
Yeah.
All right. Does everybody want to hear my stump speech?
Yes.
You got one, let's do it.
I don't have it nailed down, but I've been saying this as I go. This is the latest iteration of my 20-second pitch. Yes.
And you memorized?
Well, it's not memorized, but.
Levin, come on.
All right, so somebody time me, please.
All right.
This guy.
Do you want, I'll time it for you.
Okay.
So I'm going to put your phone here, Mary.
I got it.
Oh, someone else has it.
Ready?
All right, take it away.
So the human civilization has evolved to a point where right now we're at a crossroads. And we are coming up against two major events that might extinct our species. One is climate change, and concurrent with that is massive unemployment and job loss and potential poverty in the United States. We're about to automate away 50 million jobs in the economy, and nobody else is talking about it. How is the US supposed to lead the world in a unified geoengineering effort to get us out of this problem when internally half our population is starving to death, the left is fighting the right, and we're in gridlock? Andrew Yang is the only one. He wrote 2 books about how artificial intelligence and technology has transformed society. He has a clear vision out, not just to survive, but to thrive through these challenges. He's the only one trying to unite the two sides in our country rather than defeat the other side. And a paradigm of unifying, of humanism, of uniting everybody around will go a long way to be able to unite the entire globe, all nations of the globe, to get together. As Yang says, the United States is only 15% of global carbon emissions. So we can't do this by ourselves. And Yang is, I call him the unifier in chief, because he's the only one that is a humanist and a technologist. That's my speech.
1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute.
121 is not bad.
I need you to talk to one of my neighbors.
You had a couple pauses, so I think if you trim it down.
Right.
Yeah.
You actually hit on something that, like, one of the things, so she was a Marianne Williamson supporter,
Uh-huh.
and she is very, very young, curious, because Marianne has
Not endorsed, but
supports him, and she was actually at the Yang rally in Nevada, and he was talking purely about, or his stump speech is very domestic,
Yes.
and like she wanted to ask him about like, you know, why isn't he talking more about global things? And I feel like the way that you just tied his story in was really nice. I think she would.
All right.
It'd help her. I might point her your
Cool.
way.
There you go.
Yeah, I go
Just
straight to the
live stream.
most pressing issue, which is we might all die.
Yeah.
You know, and I say sometimes, you know, I'm not an optimist. I'm realist, and I see if we elect Yang, we have about a 10% chance of surviving as a species beyond the next 20 years, or 50 years.
Okay.
Don't
And-
say that. That
Yeah.
might be a
That
little-
sounds a little
Yeah,
severe.
keep that one inside.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
one of the most,
No, Iowans don't feel that.
I think one of the.
What's that?
And not as affected by global
That's not,
warming.
that's not a,
Yeah.
opinion many Iowans would probably drive on, like, we're gonna die in 20 years.
Yeah,
Iowans will flat out say, no, that's a lie.
yeah.
Yeah.
What you said was great. Just don't let that. one
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Everything
but
else was great. Yeah, everything was
So
great.
when it comes to the.
hold on, don't be too afraid of this either.
No,
Okay, because I've said this to people.
We're getting the spot up in here for sure.
Iowans though.
Yeah, let me grab some
Good
shit.
Depending on what precinct you're in, I don't know, some of you are in younger precincts, you're probably in a younger precinct, you're still a student.
I'm in precinct 13.
Yeah.
I don't have math in front of me, but
Well, you were there today. What would you say the
I'd say,
demographics
well, I
are?
mean, the ones that answered were probably on the older end,
okay.
but the ones that didn't drive that.
Cause I know my precinct is fairly, middle age, probably on average. Couple of young students, couple, you know, like renting students and stuff, but I would say 40 and up.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them, depending on their already present political leanings, may not give a rat's ass about climate change.
Yeah.
And they certainly are going to get defensive if you start pulling the very real and very scary statistics on them, because to them, it's like you're trying to be smart, you're trying to hoodwink them. We live in Iowa, it's freezing cold, where's our global warming, et cetera, et cetera. And so really, if you want to take the climate change angle, it's a completely valid one, take it from an agricultural perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you were just
You
at the
have to.
agricultural,
Yes.
I can
Yeah,
say that
agricultural
appropriately.
sustainability, that's actually a bigger one.
Yeah.
because Iowa does account for a pretty significant percentage of the United States' corn and soybean production, obviously. Those of you who have been out of state, I'm sure you're now well accustomed to the, granted now empty fields, given it's winter, but they will be filled with corn and soybeans come spring. And a very important thing to note about corn and soybeans is that they require lots and lots and lots of water. And so with climate change as it is happening, the Midwest is on track to experience another dust bowl in the next 50 years. And so that would be, I think, very alarming, especially to older voters. So if some of you are talking to boomers, they probably have more of a perspective on what that would do to local agriculture, because it would be gone.
Yes.
You have basically.
And
We're
even
talking,
like,
well, we were just talking to older, like, Sanders supporters that were in, like, sustainable agriculture. Those are the types of people that you say climate change, and they'll be like, oh,
Sure,
right,
yeah, they love it.
Yeah.
I was
because
gonna say.
like with that, it's also, you know, this last summer, spring and summer, we had unbelievable floods on specifically our two sides of our state, because the rivers completely flooded, ruined family farms that are completely desolated still, even in November and December. The water levels have not gone down, and that is hurting so bad, and that's gonna continue to happen. It's kind of this weird thing of all of this snow and all of this extra moisture being melted into our rivers that border our state, plus the lack thereof potentially in the future,
leading us to another Dust Bowl.
So I think that's a better way of saying we're gonna die in 50 years.
Yes.
That's more appealing to an island.
Did anyone go to the Fairfield
But I
Town
definitely
Hall
don't
and see
think,
Andrew
like,
Yang?
In Levin's stump speech, I think he hit on it very nicely. He didn't dig
But that's,
in.
that's the idea, we wanna sell to islands, right?
Yeah.
So if you wanna sell to them, you gotta do it in a way that,
I mean, you say so, but it's really about relating.
yeah.
The reason I'm
No
asking
one's
is
gonna care
because
if
that's
you
where
don't.
he actually talked about the climate change.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of people responded to the way he actually spoke about it. Even the videos when I showed them, when I'm going to show like Trump supporters, Bernie supporters, and that's how I got some of them to switch.
Oh.
When they watched that video of Andrew Yang speaking about climate change from Fairfield.
With Tom's supporters, we're gonna have to flip it. I just talked to a Tom supporter, my first Tom supporter I've ever met.
Nice.
Yeah.
I met one at the thing we went to for sustainable agriculture, so that's interesting they are popping up.
Yeah.
Well, his whole thing is sustainability, right?
He's been hitting Ames hard. I've been walking around seeing a lot of Tom door hangers.
So
Don't worry.
how'd you get them to switch?
Oh, I didn't get them to switch.
Okay, but
I didn't try. It was a guy at the checkout at the Wheatsfield Co-op, and I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
He said I had my Yang pin on. He's like, I like your candidate. But I didn't tell him to switch. But what I did talk to him about is I said that what I like about Yang, what I would have said if I had more time, is there are two things. Number one, he wants to put a serious tax on carbon. How do you pull off convincing people to put a serious tax on carbon? You give money back in their hands so that they can afford the consequences. It's the whole getting the boot off the throat thing. And I really feel what makes Yang's approach to climate really nice is it's sort of implicit. He's like taking care of it in this like practical way, and he's not beating people over the heads with it. Because unfortunately, about 50% of Americans beating them over the head with climate change actually causes them to dig in harder. Trust me, I've done my share of it on YouTube, or on Facebook rather, and you know, it never works out. So I like about Yang that he makes it into a practical thing, and that this idea that by addressing our domestic problems, people are better able to address their global problems. We can't think globally.
Yeah.
If, you know, this Yang the boot on your throat.
Think globally, act locally.
Oh, I love that. That's cool.
I think that we talked about climate change ideas with Yang now pretty well here. We've about a dozen people left to give their little 1-minute speeches.
Yeah.
We want to move on to someone else, because I think if we do a little critique for everyone, it covers a lot of patches.
Right.
that we might
So I
not
think
have.
not everyone has their 1-minute speech. This
I
is kind
have a
of the
2-minute speech.
I love it. I want to
I
hear
didn't
that.
have a chance to hear it yet, but I saw you
Yeah.
posted it, which I think is great.
My mom liked it. She lives in Massachusetts, but she's part of the Ames Yang gang.
And
That's
what
great.
is your precinct like? Do you know?
She hasn't, you don't have a precinct assigned to you yet.
Oh, not officially then, yeah.
But Collins potentially is where I'm gonna put you. Although hearing from Storm, the 13 and 21, is that what I gave you?
You gave me 14 and 20.
14 and 21. Those apparently have a lot of Yang supporters, so we'll talk about it. So I wanna go
Cool.
with whatever you're most comfortable with.
Like strong Yang support.
Well,
We can
you
put
can
it in
listen,
Trump supporters.
you can listen to my speech and then put me some based on it. How's
yeah.
that? Yeah, okay.
Do stand up.
Oh, stand up, okay.
Whoa.
Do this official, alright.
Whoa.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Are we timing? I timed it earlier. It's
Oh,
not-
okay. Oh, you, okay.
Hello, my name is Faye, and I'm a volunteer from America. I came here not for myself, but for all the beautiful souls around me that crave harmony. When I heard about Andrew Yang, I felt a massive shift in the trajectory of my life. Imagine a hope unprecedented to any other emotion you felt. He investigated, like a doctor would, to find the source of pain our country is feeling, and he found it. He found it by talking to the people that make up this country, the innovators, the builders, the entrepreneurs, the educators, and the caretakers. We all feel it, but he saw it. And he has devised a plan of action to make us all thrive again. That's a pretty big statement, I know, but I believe it with all my heart. His book, The War on Normal People, changed my life. Everything finally made sense. And his solutions? Transformative. The Yang Gang has become its own inspiration in and of itself. The people I've met who are volunteering from all corners of the world, who have sacrificed more than they could afford to stand behind this long shot, absolutely astound me. They are banding together with a passion you've only heard about in textbooks to try and help Andrew Yang save our country. They can't afford not to. It's hard to trust a vision you cannot see. But I know I do, with every fiber of my being. We all want the same thing. We're just inspired by different leaders with alternative solutions. I know Yang isn't the only promising candidate, and if you decide to go with someone else, that's okay too. I'm just glad you chose someone authentic to your needs in society and in your personal circles. I hope you have a wonderful time today and may your soul continue to play. Thank you.
Oh my God, that made me tear up.
I really,
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
I really like the way you include recognition to the other candidates,
Yeah.
because I feel like so much of this has become who's gonna win and
Right.
not why do we want to win.
Yeah.
Even if, winning is even such a I feel like it can divide people, because the second you use that term around Republicans and conservatives,
Right.
well, it institutes the same defensiveness that comes when you talk about how the Democrats are the best party and the
Or a
Republicans
sports
are
game
evil
and-
ones. Yeah. But I like that this is a divided caucus and you'll be speaking to Democrats.
Mhm.
I like that you include
And
that.
Republicans.
Yeah.
And
Some
Republicans.
Oh,
Well, they'll be-
possibly, but then you have to be registered as a
Yeah,
Democrat.
they'll be former Republicans by the time
Yeah,
they enter
yeah.
the doors.
Yeah. You know
Don't
what
remind me.
I
It's
love
not
about
open,
that?
It's not an open primary.
And I've talked about this from an engagement organizing perspective, but also it's how any good thing has ever been marketed to the world is you connected not on policy, but on something deeper. And that's why I got teary-eyed. Also exhaustion. But it made me the fact that you made something that connects with people's hearts. Whether they know anything about Andrew Yang or not, they're gonna listen to you. It's beautiful.
That's what I was aiming for. Get those heartstrings.
You got him. You got them all.
Yeah, the only concern is the time.
Yeah, that's why I said I
He's
think
gonna
I
cut
would
you
thrive.
Yeah. If she
I mean,
is
you'll be
in
last,
Collins,
right?
though,
So
that's a
that's-
smaller caucus, and I'm sure they have 2 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm more worried about mine.
What was it?
I know you
Like,
are.
I get, like-
Time was 1:36.
Oh, I did it.
What?
I did it fast.
I was gonna say, it didn't seem like it was even 2 minutes.
That was
Oh
good.
my God, that was 1 minute and 36 seconds.
I got a lot done.
You
You
did.
fit a lot in there. I can't fit that much in there.
Now I'm
I
down
wrote
to
it
ride my
today.
advocate. I was gonna stand up and not literally make jokes, but I do good work when I have an outline and not a script.
I'm the
That kind
same.
of makes me want to
Yeah.
do a script.
Do you wanna go next, Charlotte?
Oh my gosh, I mean, I don't have anything written down, but I would be able to stand up in front of a crowd and speak to Andrew Yang.
Let's hear it.
I can. All right. So I'll do my thing. Now, part of me wants to try one of those blue moons first, but
I feel bad, I came in and everybody looked way too
No, I
serious
know.
for me to show up with beer, but you did say
I
BYOD.
said
We wanted to
BYOD because it
be-
makes people lose, but I had 2 martinis last night and then had a really weird sleeping pattern.
Yeah.
I don't know what the judgment call on bringing a blue moon to the caucus will be.
Right.
They'll either impress people by
We'll probably
showing
bring it in a
beforehand,
little
or
Starbucks
we're going to
cup.
chance it.
Why not even not allowed potentially
They're
inside?
safe.
That's true.
Outside,
Outside is fine.
outside could be a way of getting people's attention.
Share them. Share them with other caucus.
Or others. I'll be willing to share. Not alcohol.
All right. So I found Andrew Yang at a time in my life that I think we've all been through. Not only was I disillusioned by the politics that I was seeing, but I was also struggling every single month. You get to that time when your credit cards are due and rent is due and you feel like it's the end of the world. And then you forget about it again and all seems fine, and then it happens every single month. So I think anyone who's been through that can understand the feeling that it has on your heart, on your mind, and on your productivity to be financially stressed. And the only candidate I see who has a solution for that is Andrew Yang. I lived in California for the past 2 years, where the minimum wage is very close to $15 an hour. In LA, it was $14.25. And there's a homeless population of 60,000 people. People who need help because right now the war on drugs has made it illegal for people who are addicted to drugs to seek help. And people who might not be able to work 40 hours a week.
The thing I like about Andrew Yang is that he speaks to those people, the people who maybe take care of a family member, a loved one, a child. And he gives them an opportunity to be valued by society that they already contribute to. Because there's not a single person in this world who can get by nowadays without spending money, without using data, without putting something back in. And yet there are so many people in America who are not valued financially by that economy that they contribute to. And so Andrew Yang speaks to me because he's one of those people. He speaks to me because no one should have to live day to day like it's the end of the month and everything's due. People should not have to check if they can afford groceries or if they can like simultaneously live in an apartment with 4 roommates and still be able to see their family sometimes. So when I think about Andrew Yang, I think about freedom. Because being financially free and having that support from the system that we all work to uphold is a type of freedom that most people have never experienced. And I think it's about time for us all to.
Okay, the bit where you said you have to live like it's the end of the month and everything's good, that was really good. I'm already 100% game supporter, but you renamed the game. That was really, really good. I think that it definitely appeals from a personal level to
Yeah.
what people actually care about.
Yeah.
I like that you included yourself, not heavily, you know, because everyone's personal experiences are going to be different, but you added definitely that human value and why you as an individual and not just, you know, someone carrying a rally sign at an Andrew Yang event, you as a person, why you care and why it would be relevant to other people who would have similar thoughts as yourself.
There we go. Cool, so that was unscripted, so that's really, really good. Let's see what happens.
Stay away when it's scripted.
Yeah. Andrew Yang.
We're gonna have to cover our
What
ears.
percent?
We're getting so hard.
Yours also was emotional. You could feel the connection to your struggles.
I know, I started shaking at one point.
I
think
felt
that's-
that from you, like
You can tell
that was
with public
intense.
speaking.
I understand closure, yeah.
Anyone else have their speech ready?
That's right.
Yeah.
I still really need just a few days to really think about it, but I have to get back to take care of my kids.
Okay.
That's right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Peng Wei Zhang. I'm a resident here in Ames and also a professor at ISU. I came to Iowa 2 years ago. Before that, I worked for 11 years in Detroit. But it was not until I read about Andrew's book, War on Normal People, until then I actually understand how much our community is actually struggling today. The reason I got excited about Young's campaigns because I think it's based on human first principle, and it's also based on the vision about where the society is heading and how we can respond to that. So I feel that the Young's campaign is not going to actually help not for our country and the world, but also have huge impact for us here in Ames, in ISU, and Iowa. So that's why actually I would love to see Young lead our nation to the next phase of the something. And then of course, last but not least, as an engineering professor, I definitely love math and wearing my hat. And I think we do need to set up policies based on fact, based on the vision about how our technology and our society is heading for. So that's how I would support you. And if you have many folks here, and if you love to hear a little bit more about Young's campaign, we would love to share our experience with you. Thank you.
I like that.
I started a little bit late, but I started probably 30 seconds in, and it was 1:13. So I'm guessing on that.
One thing I would say is that I think you could almost add a little bit more of your personal
Yeah,
details in
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Because I was very interested, you were talking about, oh, I lived in Iowa for the last 2 years, I'm a professor at ISU, you know, I lived in Detroit
Yeah.
beforehand. That was huge.
I wanted to
Yeah.
hear about Detroit.
Right, talking about your experience, because Detroit is a city that Yang mentions quite often, that has been highly affected by the automation of the manufacturing industry, particularly the automobile manufacturing industry. And so, I don't know if you've had a lot of experience with that, but even if you just talk about, you know, things you saw in your community when you lived there, you know, you don't have to pair it as, you know, we automate millions of manufacturing jobs in cities around the world, like Detroit, Michigan. Doesn't have to be a complete copy pasta, but definitely adding what you experienced in your life that's, you know, brought you to realize that Andrew Yang is the best option that we have for the President of the United States.
One thing that I connected with as a fellow professor, I've seen you around, by the way, Matt, I'm in the physics department.
Oh, okay. Did you say, yeah?
By the table, didn't you?
Pardon?
You stopped by the table in December, November, when we were in the free speech zone.
On campus?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, by the library.
Oh, yeah, my office is by the library, maybe I was.
Yeah, I recall you stopped by.
So what I was going to say is one of the things that you said later that I thought was really good, that I really connected with is, you know, I mean, one of the things that means a lot to me from Yang is the idea of wearing math hats and valuing facts over. You could almost move that more to the beginning, and that's another way to connect it personally, because as a professor, you know, facts and accuracy is something that's important, and is something that American politics is losing.
As an engineering professor, I didn't need to be persuaded to wear a hat that says math on it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But,
That's a good line, I like that.
Because that is something that I think is really important to remember, is that the campaign is based on realities. And yeah, I am really glad that you added that.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, who else has ideas?
Got a question?
Yeah.
So I was told that I should actually base it off of like what actually is going on in my life and why I actually chose him instead of like just trying to write a script.
I mean, you have an amazing story, like a lot of us do.
But wouldn't that just be a bit too much? Like they think that I'm just
I think that making it applicable to everyone, it's like sharing a little bit about yourself and then big picture. Because you have so many approaches and so many different ways to like speak to these people. I mean, you've been OG from day one. Like before I even got here, you were out here. So we can talk about it more. What would a main question, I guess, or comment you would have be? Yeah.
Well, one of the reasons I am supporting him like 100% is when we were in Nevada. One of the first couple times I seen him, how he like stopped everything that he was doing and he like came and hugged me, and he told me that I was gonna kick cancer's fucking ass, and he told me I was a warrior.
He's right.
And he told me not to stop fighting.
Yeah.
That meant a lot to me, just for him to take that little bit of time out, you know, just for him to even walk up to me and hug me like that at all. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't know me. I mean, just somebody trying to run for president, he's got a lot going on. And how he actually takes his time out to help people.
Yeah.
I don't know,
I think that's beautiful. That's a great lead in, I think, to maybe to the idea that he puts humanity first and that you can see every day. Any one of us who's met Andrew Yang, like he recognizes, I've changed my hair color 3 times. Each time I've met him, inadvertently, I wasn't trying to hide. And he's always recognized me, which is kind of special. Whether it was in California or out here.
And I think that, you know, it's not just that it's personal to you, but it's going to be personal to so many people who have battled cancer or
relate to
chronic
it.
disease or know a loved one that has, because...
Kyle Christensen was actually talking to me.
Oh,
Because he
cool.
said that the situation related so much to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reached out to him and he was actually talking to me about it.
It's sad that there are common threads like that, but at the same time, it is that idea of humanity and that we can come together over these struggles and over these things that we've gone through together. It's sort of like, you know, when people talk about in war, that they relate to their, you know, their brothers in arms so strongly because of the trials and tribulations that they had to go through, and in much the same way, you know, survivors of illnesses, mental and physical, have that solace in each other because it's something that some people may never be able to understand, for better or for worse.
I also really love the fact how he's brought a lot of people together from all different sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. I think that him recognizing the individuality of people is a very unique trait of his. It's like the whole Biden saying coal miners should learn to code. Well, maybe one coal miner wants to code and another wants to run a pet store and another wants to start painting, you know? The only environment, as I see it, that any politician is putting out there that leaves room for individuality, and I think this is great for you because you're such a strong spirit, is the only person who's creating an environment for individuality is Yang. Everyone else is either trying to get one person to believe a certain way or trying to get everyone into government jobs, you know? Like, we are different as people.
Like his other book, Smart People Build Things.
Yeah.
He doesn't say rich, he doesn't say high class, he says smart people. And that can be any single person in the world.
And smart can be defined so differently.
Exactly.
People can be smart in so many different things and in so many different ways.
It's your human value.
Exactly.
Yeah!
Let's see. I haven't done it for anybody yet, but let me.
First showing.
Yeah, I know.
Alrighty. You haven't even done it, not Karen, not the kiddos,
Not
they
yet,
haven't seen it?
Not yet, but I have been working on it. I mean, my struggle as an academic is the personal thing.
If your sons are there, by the way,
They will be.
then everyone's gonna go to your side.
Oh,
If
really?
anyone's ever seen his kids, they're the cutest kids in the
They
entire
are.
They're
world.
very charismatic too.
My daughter's
Yeah.
gonna be there.
They are.
Oh,
My big one.
I'm glad. I know. I love your dog. I have a picture with it, but it kind of looks like I'm like feeling its butt, so I can't post it.
That was recorded.
Yeah, so-
Live streamed.
Anyways, How getting the dog. Sorry, Matt.
Oh, no worries.
Somebody got a timer?
Yeah,
Yeah,
please
I'll
time.
start when you start.
Okay, ready? Okay. Hi everyone. It's so great to be here with all this energy. My name is Matt. I live with my family on Maxwell Ave. I'm here tonight for the same reason that Andrew Yang is running for president, because I'm worried about the future for my children. I'm a bit of a political outcast, and I've been sitting on the sidelines for 20 years now, watching our country get further and further off course, and we're just stuck in a holding pattern. I'm here today, I'm excited, I've been door knocking for the first time in ages, because in Andrew Yang, finally, I found a candidate who brings something new to the table, and who's able to actually bring people together. I stumbled onto Andrew when actually a Trump-supporting Facebook friend of mine posted a video interview of his, and I was skeptical and immediately drawn in, watching this guy explaining to a conservative talk show host the value to our economy of universal health care. And he was so eloquent without the slightest trace of disrespect and with a smile on his face. I was immediately sucked in. Andrew Yang has stumbled onto something that none of the other candidates on the field have found, and the Democratic Party needs to listen. But they're not going to listen unless he outperforms their expectations. There are a lot of candidates on the field tonight, and none of them are going to win handedly. And so our vote tonight is not really going to determine the next president. But what we can do is we can determine the message that will win in 2020. That is why the most powerful and important thing we can do tonight is to caucus for Andrew Yang. Because if we get him to the next level in this campaign, he's going to change the Democratic Party and he's going to change the way America talks about politics for the better. So please join us in making America think harder.
Woo! That's so good.
A couple of times, but I really like the piece, and you should isolate that, Levin, when you do your editing, about how this isn't going to determine where the election goes, but it's gonna determine.
Well, that particular set of 2 lines, I have literally been working on for weeks now. Because
Yeah.
So I mean, one of the things that I should point out that a lot of people are going to encounter, and I encountered this today. I did some it was a really positive door knocking experience today. You know, a lot of people are like, they like Yang, they want to support him, but something in their heart tells them that he doesn't have the experience for the office. And a lot of, I think the older voters are kind of in this mode of like it's a job interview, and they're like, well, look at Klobuchar's resume, and it's very good, which it is. And so I think the important thing to emphasize for them is they don't have to worry like what if they make a mistake tonight and pick Andrew Yang. It's, you know, there's 8 months to go on this, and his message is so important that we need to worry about the message first. We can worry about the guy later. So I'm not worried about the guy. I don't mean to suggest that, but that's exactly the point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say it that way. So I've been like chipping away at it. I had a great encounter. Actually, I just wanted to mention this because this is really tied in. I kind of made the point today. Our neighbors across the way are hardcore, like involved in the Ames Democratic community. She's like president or what, like Ames Progressive Alliance. She's high up in the hierarchy. They have not had a sign in their front yard, but I've been completely shy to knock on their door because I just like I hate intruding on people.
Yeah.
But I saw them today and they're totally undecided. Like I thought they were like hardcore and they're really into comedy and they saw my picture of me with Dave Chappelle. So like I was talking to her, she's like, there's so many great people, and I was just about, like, we were done talking, I was just about to walk away, I was like, you know, I'm gonna make my 1 10-second pitch, and this is it. All the people that you're excited about, they're absolutely wonderful, but they're gonna do fine in Iowa. Andrew, if you vote for him, that is going to be the difference between his message being heard or not, and it just, bam!
Yes.
And then I was like, see you later.
Bye.
It's the king of mic drops, aren't you?
Yeah.
Make America think harder. Andrew is the one who will make it.
Yeah.
Maybe the claw is just a reverse
Oh,
mic
yeah.
drop.
It's funny because I had 2 encounters with people who I was shy about engaging with. It turned out it was really good because our other neighbors were walking outside and I've been afraid to knock on their door because they have a Pete sign. And like, I'm like, I shouldn't be thinking this way, but it's like, oh, I don't want to bother them. They like Pete. But they were like, we're totally excited about Yang. Now that doesn't mean that he's their first choice, but they were really genuinely enthusiastic. I talked up Yang, I gave them a couple thousand Yang bucks. And they're worried about childcare, and I was like, I'm gonna talk to the precinct temporary chair. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, with people with yard signs, I would go up and say like, even if they have us first, I'd be like, "Whoa, is Yang your second or third?"
Right.
Yeah.
So it's still legit that to go up there.
I know it's not a correct mindset
Right.
to have. It's just a problem that I have. I was really proud of myself for the Corey house I hit, and I tried to hit a Mary Ann house today, but they had a like wild dog do not bother sign, so I just left the door down. Although how cool would it have been? What's that?
I get that a lot of houses like that too.
How cool would it have been if I yanked their dog though?
Just stick a
Walks in
mat.
the house with a little math hat on. It's like, where'd you get that?
Very nice.
Anyway,
Nice to meet you.
I'll probably run into you.
Nice to meet you. Good luck with the caucus.
Thank you.
Good seeing you, Hungway.
All right, that was good.
Does anyone else want to try one out?
I could go.
Yeah, there you go.
How long was Matt's?
146.
That's not terrible.
We've all been
I
waiting 2
say let him
minutes,
go
right?
over the
So-
minute.
Yeah.
So many other people will. Here's the
Yeah.
thing.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
What's a minute 40, you know?
Everybody's gonna go over.
Yeah, we saw what the candidates were like at the Liberty and Justice. Yeah, he was the only one who went within the time. I'm not doing that again.
We don't. Oh wait, Yang might play by the rules. We don't have to.
Yeah, we're rebels with a cause.
Did you see that?
Hi, my name is Christian. I'm 27 years old, and this month I dropped everything in my life to come to Iowa and talk to people like Andrew Yang. I'm here because y'all are the political tastemakers of our country. Whatever happens in this room today shapes the course of the whole election. I've had so many great conversations along the way. My favorite is actually talking to Trump supporters, because when you sit down with them, you see how well Yang's message lands. After Trump won, many people blamed supporters of being bad people. Instead, Yang empathized with them and unpacked exactly why they voted how they did. He put together a set of solutions that tackle the underlying problems for all of us. I care more about these solutions than Yang himself. When I vote on Super Tuesday in 29 days, I'd be just as happy voting for Bernie or Pete or Amy or Tom if they support the visionary ideas that Yang has put together. Warren is even reading Yang's book, and Joe Biden talks about self-driving cars on the campaign trail. I heard it with my own ears. So when we caucus, we're signaling the direction we want the country to move in. Caucusing for Yang sends a message that we care about decoupling human value and economic value. It sends a message that we need to abolish poverty. It sends a message that we need to start talking about how the fourth industrial revolution is changing the fabric of our society. Yang always jokes that either he'll win or whoever does will sound like him. And caucusing for Yang is how we make it happen.
Oh, I like that.
You touch on actually some similar things that I'm gonna try and speak about, and I think, I mean, a common thread here is like helping people relate. And when it comes to Trump supporters, I think that, yeah, there probably will be some disaffected Trump voters in these offices. And I think that your message really will reach out to them without having too many Democrats feel like Yang or you and your, the message is sympathizing with Trump. I think that's the important distinction, and because I've had a couple of Democrats say to me, or liberal-leaning people, I like Yang, but I feel sometimes like he doesn't really put enough blame on Trump. And, granted, Trump has messed up a lot of stuff in our country, and he's definitely to blame for a lot of things. But his supporters, it's a very hard thing to pin down because, like Yang has said, the things that Trump ran on were correct. He got that much right, the loss of jobs, the economic disparity in America. So many of them are people, just like we are. And I really like that a solid part of your speech was connecting to that subset of the population.
Mm-hmm. I would like to see how many Republicans are in your specific area.
Oh, so I looked on the list today, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, really? A relatively significant.
Like, yeah, it's not even 30% of the names.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I know that.
And then some independents are not registered.
Yeah.
And there's a chance they'll show up.
By the way, I have people in Colo, I think that's how you say it,
Yeah.
who want signs.
Colo wants signs.
Yeah,
Tell me.
I have a list of them at home. I meant to bring it with me and I forgot.
Yeah.
I don't know whose precinct it is or whatever, but
I don't think that we have Colo captain yet.
as I was making calls, there was quite a few people who decided they wanted to go for Yang. And there was this one lady who actually called me back. I don't know how they called me back, but they did. And she said that she wanted a sign. She decided to go for Yang.
Sorry, I don't.
One of the things that you did that I like that actually I think we should be cognizant of, there was a survey that came out today that I think didn't reflect well on the Yang Gang, which was that they had the numbers of who would still vote for a Democrat if their candidate didn't win, and it was some of that just reflects how many Republicans, frankly, he's probably got in the polls.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But I think if we sound very gracious and respectful of the other candidates, it'll go a long way.
Absolutely. And we are.
I wonder.
I don't know anyone who exactly do you know people.
Don't say that, Charlotte.
But honestly, Friendship 2020 is real. The Klobuchar people just brought us Chipotle.
Yeah. Yes. We're very gracious and thankful.
Yeah. I think those numbers have to be off, but it does, to me, I read that Bernie and Yang have similar statistics.
I forget what the numbers were, but yeah, Bernie was up there too.
Yeah.
Because I think Yang I think had him beat, but I do think that a lot of that just reflects the fact that he's pulling in people who wouldn't vote for any Democrat under any other circumstance.
Right.
I think most if you redid that poll and took people who voted Democrat in the last election, I'm sure it would be much higher.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure as heck.
But Yang has a special hold on the audience of people who did not vote for Hillary. A lot of people in our camp, amongst our folds, didn't vote for Hillary. because they didn't want to compromise their values, so they didn't vote for Hillary or Trump. They chose neither.
Or a third party.
Or a third party.
What was
So-
her name? Basically, Jill's.
Those people are either voting Democrat in a Yang presidency or not voting. My brother's not voting. I know a lot of his friends who originally went for Trump aren't voting. Like 2016 did a huge number on people where if that was their first or second election, and I think I would include myself in that, although I'm obviously quite active. Like we saw we kind of, half of our voting time was on a really polarizing subject, where everybody was talking about the lesser of two evils, the lesser of two evils. Imagine that's and for a lot of people here, imagine that's your only presidential campaign you've ever voted in. You don't have the memories of like, oh, it'd be cool if this person wins, but you know, I like this person too.
Oh man, you guys should have experienced the 2 terms of Bush. I was a young Republican after 2 terms of Bush. It was a very.
It was
different
over. I remember.
My high school reunion, one of the other arch conservatives of my high school class goes up to me and he's like, so, I hear you voted for Kerry. I was like, yep. And then he goes, me too.
Yeah! I love that.
Don't ask what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so, oh man, I was like a cartoon caricature of a young Republican. I'm
Yeah.
not proud. I'm not proud.
I just got a text from my grandmother. In
Nice.
about 10 minutes, she'll be available to take some caucus
Yay!
questions as someone who's caucused for
Whoa.
Decades.
a long time.
Where are you from?
Warren County.
Oh, okay.
So she's always been in the Polk, Warren area. Yeah. Central Iowa.
There's more caucus experience than most people.
Do the camera ring for a little bit?
Definitely miss all around.
There's a camera on it. Oh, okay, so that's how I hold it.
Do you have anyone else?
I think I have something to say. I used to be a former Trump supporter, and back in 2016 was like the biggest regret of my life. And even for years, I did more research to find out like the way I voted for him was like I 100% regret doing that. And yeah, I did more research on weather and stuff. Like me and her, I started like chasing storms and stuff. Like the whole about this climate change. Like I wanted to understand like where the weather was heading to. I want to understand like how it's all happening, and like I've seen the temperatures keep changing, like unbalanced, like how things. Huh?
Do you have anything to say for the speech part though?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay. I was just curious, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, go on.
But that's the part where NGA where it talks about the climate, talks about the machines. Like I know it's about the machines, like going to Walmart, for example. And I've done a video, like, doing like a comedy video, so I was just being goofy, just like playing different multi-characters, and all of a sudden you have like a machine just like running around, watching the floors. I didn't know what to think of. It's people losing their jobs, and I know it's Angie was talking about, it's like, finally, someone talking about what's going on here. And I tell people, like, every time like the machine's going on, like, people keep stumbling about it. Stumbling, like, what we need to do next. And like Angie just won it completely on me. Like he speaks about a lot of things that no other candidates are talking about, and I feel like, wow, this guy is getting me more respect each time. And
yeah, tell him about how you're autistic and all that.
And I suffer with like autism, like slight autism, and like I have an issue with speech problem, but I do what I can to like.
It really attracted him to Andrew Yang is what he told me. About how Andrew Yang didn't let it, he wasn't embarrassed about it. Andrew Yang wasn't embarrassed about it to talk about it with his son. You know, that really attracted Jason to him. Like how it really, like, you know.
Yeah. It's about the human value of someone,
Yes.
and not something that we say, you know, like that to some people might have a negative connotation when it shouldn't.
Exactly, and it's not something to be embarrassed or ashamed of.
Right.
Like, he was always raised up by his own family to be embarrassed and ashamed of. Okay.
That's a really good bit. I really like that you expressed how you wanted to learn more and how you realized that, you know, you made kind of this mistake, but you wanted to educate yourself and you wanted to move on past it because, I a lot of people, Democrat or Republican, they don't care to sometimes learn more past what they think is already their position. Some of them are very open to it, but I think that the fact that you made kind of a 180 is really going to affect a lot of people from, maybe their own personal standpoints, where they realized they didn't know something and they wanted to fix that.
Yeah. That's really good. Can you guys give this, we have to ask if they can give the speech together, because they're co-precinct captains.
I would imagine they could.
Ooh,
Either
I'd love to see that.
together or one after the other.
Yeah.
But
You
I
guys
think
have such good
time-wise might be, I think it's still just like that
Yeah.
timeframe for both.
I think
But
you're right.
if it's a 2-minute one, they could probably give.
They're in a pretty
2
big precinct similar to you. They're in 11.
I'd be totally okay with him talking the whole thing.
I know. Yo, I asked Ryan too, because Ryan's in your precinct. I was like, I think they're a little nervous about giving the script. And he's like, yeah, why do you think I'm not?
I'll totally, don't put it in for a minute.
Sorry.
I'll totally be okay.
Yeah. Honestly, you know what? You gotta do what you gotta do. So like, live it up. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to say that on camera.
Oh, yeah.
And
Say what?
for the both of you, I think some of the things that you're touching on, I mean, I didn't hear what your speech material is intending to actually sound like, but the topics that you're wanting to cover, I think that you can definitely merge those two.
Yeah.
And so I think an idea of maybe introducing yourself sort of with a tag team effort would be actually really powerful, because you get the perspective of two different people that are similar, and yet there's different things you can relate to with both of you.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking, is like, kind of seeing who we were and how we actually, I followed Andrew Yang for quite a few years, and I read all of his books, and one day I kind of squealed like a little girl because one of his videos came up that he was running for president. And that's when he rolled his eyes at me, because that's when he was a hardcore Trump supporter.
Look at that.
And he knows I hate politics. I've never been into politics, never vote, no nothing. I'm 40 years old. I'm old as hell. And yet he saw that it kind of sparked something. And all of a sudden he starts looking into Andrew Yang. And he starts seeing more and more that, oh wow, like this guy's like really sincere. And then all of a sudden, like, he'll like bring all these like special values out everybody, like how we can touch base with this person, and how you can touch base with this person, and like how he's like an actual real sincere person. And then I think that autism part where he was not ashamed of his son really touched him, and how he wants to like value all people and not just the rich, and not just the middle class, but all people.
Yeah. There's no one else who I think speaks to people who are differently able, or who, like a lot of the Democrat ideas, work if you're a perfectly healthy person who works 40 hours a week and doesn't have any kids. But if you're not one of those people, and the majority of people, like, we have something holding us back, whether it's like mental health, physical health, like whatever. We're not all perfect robots of people that could benefit off of certain things. My statement wasn't as powerful as my speech.
I got a question. If we're about to give out flyers and swag.
Depending on, well, swag, yes. You can give anyone a gang t-shirt.
Well, I'm gonna bring so many
Well,
buttons. So many buttons.
Do we have enough buttons? Because they need so many buttons too.
Everything in what you can with.
Oh, okay.
And then you get to scan and everything.
Wait, this is important.
Yeah, hold up.
Because I've heard so many different things, but this is good.
What they told me is bring everything in with you in a bag. And if it's 1-2 bags, make sure you got it all. Make sure you got your area looking good. Get it all set up, because then what they're going to do, tell you to take it down in front of everybody? No. Because have it ready, be in there an hour early.
Oh, okay.
An hour early. Are we allowed to set up?
See, I heard a very, I talked with my co-chair today at my precinct, and our place is very different rules. You cannot hang stuff up. We're at a school. You can't have a table. You can't do this. This is what the co-chair said to me. So he said anyone who's trying to do this, they'll get shut down. But yes, we can hang out swag. We can.
Well,
one
I'm not saying
side.
hang it up, I'm just saying you can have it there, you
Yeah.
can bring it in the bags.
Okay.
Yeah,
Of
you
course,
can
if
bring it
your
in.
precinct chair similar to yours is specifically chose you something, then going in their orders is
Yeah.
best.
Sure.
Always.
But if you haven't heard anything, because I know all of the precinct people have your information, because they sent them all to like the head of whatever early
It's like,
on.
I've called mine
Yeah.
3 times and I can't get a hold of her, and it goes to voicemail every single time, but her voicemail is full. And so, like, I'm still
I
gonna
haven't
call
contacted anybody.
more, but I just don't really know what,
Yeah.
and what are these stipulations? I know I'm at the high school, but that's really about it.
That's why
Right.
that guy Connor told me, when I helped him in that swag.
Yeah.
He's the one that told me to just bring it in with you, just in case.
Wait, could you hold on?
Right.
Please?
So
Right,
that's
what
the
they're gonna
getting
tell you
to
is bring it back out your car or something.
Right. Ask for
And what they're gonna
forgiveness.
tell you is keep it in the bag.
Again, better over-prepared than
Yeah.
under-prepared.
Ask forgiveness rather than
Yeah, like,
permission.
Yang Yang has the coolest swag,
Yeah,
and these are
exactly.
things that even if they don't want a T-shirt, even if they're not Yang Yang, this particular sticker,
It's so applicable to everyone. Everyone wants this sticker.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I have 10,000 of these.
Oh,
So
oh.
if you guys want
Solid.
some.
Yeah.
And when do you know when Anna's coming back? Cause she's bringing back a bunch of merch. I've been
Right,
giving
so
out
she'll come
merch.
back tonight,
Cool.
Soon tonight, like
Yeah.
within,
Like I'm talking like 11 p.m. That's when people are going to be coming back from the thing. So I would count on that being here tomorrow.
And everyone's coming tomorrow to see Yang, right? Knock on doors.
Yep. Oh, right. Everyone sign up for the Mobilize link for that. Because if you haven't noticed, people are freaking out about that Mobilize link not being signed. So if you have a Mobilize link, I'm going to send it to the
I mean,
group chat once again.
I filled it out, but I have gotten texts from people, like Maggie sent me one being like, check it out. Like, do you guys not have, like,
I don't.
the Yang campaign needs to like hire a programmer whose job it is to make it that when people say yes to things, like a database remembers that.
Yeah, there is a programmer, but there's only one. So there needs to be 2.
Is there any word, by the way, on the app? Like, have they got the bugs fixed from last night?
So my word on the app is like,
Oh, shoot up.
No, I think it's gonna be cool if they can get it to not
if it
crash.
works and everything, then you guys will know the results of the entire Iowa caucuses before the world does. If it doesn't work, I need you guys to go with a basic plan of, if you're not viable, try to band together with the other people who are not viable to go for your person. If you're significantly not viable and have no shot, which I don't think we really, like, I don't think anyone in this room is gonna have that situation, then you can give people, let people have their own devices, and if they want to go with someone, then it's perfectly fine. But in this situation, the worst case scenario is being unviable in the first round, because I don't think anyone's gonna have like only 2 supporters.